episode 5, Lazarus, the Lazarus pit. And this is the Jason Todd backstory episode because Titans has always done a very unique thing, we'll say. And they've done this, they've done this since the beginning. They'll give you an episode, and then that episode will end in some sort of cliffhanger. And so for the next episode, before they continue the story arc of the cliffhanger that they just left you on, they always give you like a character backstory episode. There's always an episode in between before the story picks up. And, this time we're getting, like the Jason Todd episode to find out what happened to him before the Joker killed him and then immediately after the Joker killed him. The episode starts with, with him and Crane. They're in the forest together. I guess Crane got away because in the last episode he hit the electric fence. He was electrocuted and he fell on the floor. But I guess he got up pretty quick and then, he ran after Todd. He found Jason Todd in the forest and him and, the two of them started talking and they were talking about oh, we got to take the Titans down. And then he was like, stop being afraid of Dick Grayson. He was like, I'm not afraid of Dick Grayson. And then, and then they turned this whole big thing and they walked away. So then it turns into the previous, before the Joker death. So it's right after Jason had left San Francisco and he came back to Gotham. He's talking to Bruce, and then Bruce basically told him, he was just like, and he's like, I want you to go see Dr. Leslie Tompkins. And until you see Leslie Tompkins to get your mind right, he was like, you can't be Robin. You can't go out in these streets. Obviously, Jason got mad. He storms out of Wayne Manor and then he hits the streets. Now, and they even said there was a point where they talked about his past. He said that his mother was a crack addict and his dad was killed by Two-Face. So he lived on the street for a while and he had friends that he made on the street as well. One of those friends was a girl that, he was with, the two of them, they came up together, they were helping each other and they were looking through papers and classified ads trying to save children that have been snatched up off the street. I was about to say streets that have been snatched up off the streets. The girl that played his friend, she was Tess on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 5 Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. when they went into the future and they were living in the lighthouse and it was Tess and it was the black kid who ended up becoming they kept calling him Pebbles. I forgot I forgot his name, but but the girl Tess, that's Tess from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for all the people that keep up with the castings. So so the two of them, they were trying to find out, who was snatching these kids off the street. And then, her and Jason, they found the guy. And then the girl was like, oh, let's just tell the authorities. And then Jason was like, screw that. He ran up on the dude. And, he told him, he was like, yo, he said, we're looking for this kid named Miguel and you're going to help us find him or else. And then the guy pulled out a gun and then he ended up pistol whipping Jason with the gun and they started beating Jason's ass. And my whole thing is I'm like, dude, you're Robin. Why are you not disarming this guy and taking him down? But it also plays into the trauma that he's had, not only with, not only with, being on the streets, not being Robin, being there in front of the girl, but also, he's still affected by falling off the roof. The fear from what happened to him in season 2 with being thrown off the roof, it's really bothering him, it's really affecting him. And then once he got hit in the dome, he started having flashbacks and everything. And then the girl begged the guy to stop beating his ass. And then the guy stopped beating his ass. The girl, she went over to Jason and she was like, are you okay? And then he was just like, bitch, get away from me. And I was like, well, damn, so he ends up so because of that, he felt bad, and then he ends up going to see Leslie. Now, I was always under the impression that Dr. Leslie Tompkins was significantly older than Bruce Wayne because she was helping Bruce deal with his trauma since Bruce was a kid. This woman that they got to play Leslie Tompkins does not in any way, shape, or form look older than Bruce Wayne. And I love the casting. I like the woman that they got to play Dr. Leslie Tompkins because she does remind me of the woman that played Leslie Tompkins on Gotham. So I can buy that. Out of all the castings that this show has done, Bruce Wayne is the only casting choice that still to this day does not work for me. Because I'm just like, how does Leslie Tompkins look younger than you do? I got to do better. But this is what we got. This is what we got. And then they, they were taking us through the whole thing. Jason was having, he was having nightmares where he was picturing Donna's death. And then Donna Troy came to him in a dream. And then, they said he was going to the therapy. And then, she was just she did the word association. And then he said, she was just oh, San Francisco. He said Rose. She was just mother. He was fuck her. And then he was just then he was father. And then he said Bruce. So that was like a little breakthrough, like a little conversational breakthrough. And Jason actually was doing well. Like he was doing a lot better through the therapy, and he was able to like, channel his, like his inner demons, and he slowly started becoming, like coming around, like being more like, aware of like, of everything, and like trying to put like, like that dark past behind him. Bruce ends up taking him over to the place where his parents died, like, Crime Alley. And while the two of them were in Crime Alley, Bruce I guess Bruce in his own way, opened up to Jason emotionally. He called him son, and then he told him, but unfortunately he told him, he was like, I don't want you to be Robin anymore, because I don't want anything bad to happen to you, because, basically he was just saying like, I care about you too much, and I don't want this city and this life to take you. And then he was just like, but don't take Robin away from me. He was like, I need Robin. But then he told him, he was just like, yeah, but you don't need Robin to be my son. He was like, you can be my son, and you can put the costume behind it. You don't got to worry about it. And then Jason got mad, because he was just like, yo, first of all, he was just like, yo, you ain't do that shit to Dick. He was like, you get, and then this is where the jealousy comes in. He was like, you gave Dick everything. You were there for Dick, like you supported Dick. But he was just like, yo, Jason felt like he was giving up on him. He was like, yo, but you're giving up on me. And then he was like, I would never give up on you, but I don't want you to be Robin. And then like Jason got mad, like then he walked away. So like after that, he basically went ape shit at that point, to like, he felt so betrayed in that moment, and he blamed like his fear, for why he felt Bruce gave up on him. He went into Bruce's archives. He pulled out a piece of like the Scarecrow's formula, and he brought it to Jonathan Crane in Arkham, and he told him, he was like, I need you, to make like a reverse version of this, where instead of you being afraid, it takes away your fear and you have no fear. And then Crane was like, well, what are you going to give me? And then he was like, I'll give you information. He was like, I'll tell you everything about Batman and about all his secrets. And I was just like, really, dude? Like you just flat out like just sold him. Like that level of betrayal, like that shit is crazy to me. Cause I'm like, that's like Lex Luthor telling Deathstroke that Batman is Bruce Wayne at the end of the Snyder Cut. I'm like, yo, you ain't had to do that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you ain't had to do that. But I guess like, again, he was so mad at Bruce, and he wanted to get revenge on Bruce, and he wanted to, like to no longer be afraid, that he basically, he gave up the golden goose. And I was just like, yo, that's some dirt ass shit. But, so he told him the secrets. And then we saw when Jason purchased the, the warehouse where he cooked up the formula. So he's cooking up the formula, he ends up making the Fearless formula. He takes the Fearless formula, and then Crane, at this whole thing, like Crane's getting in his mind, Crane's getting into his head. And then he said that we have to test this, test the formula to see if it really works. And we got to go after the Joker, because that's the one person you got to be able to test to see if you're really not afraid. So then like, it takes us to the scene, where he's talking to Bruce, and then Bruce is just like, oh, don't go after the Joker. And then he takes a whiff of like, like the non-fear gas. And then he's just like, yo, fuck the Joker. Joker beats his ass, and the Joker kills him. Now, we all knew the Lazarus pit brought him back. Like that wasn't a secret. Like that definitely wasn't a secret. Like we all knew the Lazarus pit brought him back. But I did not know that Crane was going to be the one to resurrect him. I thought Crane and Raish, they were working together like hand in hand, but apparently Crane knew about a small Lazarus pit that Raish had in Gotham City. Because he even said, he was like, like he's like, Ra's al Ghul left this behind. And he's like, not even Bruce knows about it. It was a small little Lazarus pit. So Crane dumped Jason in the Lazarus pit. He brought him back to life. He was just like, yeah, you died. And he's like, you conquered the ultimate fear. And he's like, now that you've conquered the ultimate fear, it's time for us to get down to business. So Crane gets more into his head. They build a new toxin. He ends up giving Jason the new toxin, puts the costume on him, gives him the Red Hood persona. And then he's just like, yeah, now we're going to go out there and we're going to take back the streets of Gotham. So there is no Ra's al Ghul. There is no higher villain. There is nobody else pulling the strings. This whole entire thing is Jonathan Crane. Everything is Jonathan Crane. And I don't know how I feel about that, because from a fear standpoint, it makes perfect sense. Preying on Jason's fear from him getting dropped off the building makes perfect sense as to why Jonathan Crane would be the villain. But at the same time, I've never known Jonathan Crane to be that smart of a person to orchestrate like this whole thing. So it almost seems like basically what it was, The Scarecrow was the only villain that Warner Brothers allowed Titans to use, so they just ran with it. But you know what I'm saying? But like I said, but I'm fine with that. At least they mentioned Raish. They mentioned the Lazarus Pit, so there is still Ra's al Ghul tie-in. So I'm fine. I'm fine with that. You know, like so that I can. And plus, like the whole fear thing, it plays into it as well. So Jason got the suit on, and then it shows, you know, like when he goes around, he ended up calling Leslie Tompkins, and he was just like, "Yo, word association, who's lying ass bitch?" And then like he hung up the phone, you know, like he got mad at her. You know, like there was a moment where Leslie Thompson had brought up like a Superman story. I thought that was pretty funny, you know. And then he ends up going around the same person that beat Jason up earlier in the episode when the girl was watching. He found that dude and straight whooped his ass, and he killed him, shot him in the face. He found the boy Miguel, and he brought the boy back to the girl. And then when he brought the boy back to the girl, he was talking to the girl, and then she was just like, "Oh, you know, Jason." She was, because she knew it was him. She was like, "Jason, is that you?" And he was like, "Yeah, it's me." And then she was like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "I'm doing what needs to be done." And then she was like, "You don't have to do this." And he was like, "Yes, I do." And he was like, "It's gonna get worse before it gets better." And then he was like, "Change your locks," you know what I'm saying, because anybody could break through those. And then he walked out. You know, the girl was just like, "Jason, don't go." Like he walked out in the Red Hood costume, and that's how the episode ended. So I do appreciate the backstory, because the motivation behind the Jason Jonathan Crane thing needed to be told. So I'm perfectly fine with that. And like I said, Titans does that all the time. They always give you an episode, they leave you with a cliffhanger, and then they give you like a backstory episode. So I'm perfectly fine with that. Like I said before, the only thing about it is the fact that it's Jonathan Crane. I'm just like, but I will accept it. I definitely will accept it. So I guess in the next episode, we're going to get the Blackfire living in the mansion episode, you know, where Blackfire and Starfire are trying to coexist. But then, you know, we still need to see what Jason's and Scarecrow's plan is going forward. Because like I said before, you're Jason Todd and you're Jonathan Crane. You know all the secrets. You know all the bad secrets. You know who's who. You know why's who, this, that, and the third. You know everything. If you really have that much of a problem with Batman, with the Batman legacy, with the Titans and everybody, you know that you know all their information. You know they're in Wayne Manor. Just blow up Wayne Manor. And the fact that they haven't blown up Wayne Manor means there's a specific setup that has something to specifically do with Dick Grayson, which is why he's choosing to keep everyone alive. 5 episodes in, and still no Rachel. Still no Rachel. We did get Donna, but still no Rachel. So, and if Titans only has 13 episodes, I mean, Rachel got 7 more before she shows up. And then Robin, you know, like Tim Drake hasn't even suited up yet. So there's a lot that needs, like, I need to find out how many episodes Titans is getting, because if we're only getting the traditional 13 episodes, and this means we have 8 episodes left. We only got 8 episodes left. Y'all have a short amount of time to tell a lot of story. So let's see where this goes. And thank you for tuning in. Share your thoughts below. Let me know what you thought about the Lazarus episode. Let me know what you thought about the Jason Todd backstory. How do you feel about Leslie Tompkins looking as good as she does, despite her being significantly younger than Bruce? You know, like where do you think it's gonna go? Like, what's the end game here? Like, what's the plan for Jonathan Crane and the Red Hood? Like, where are they going? What are we doing? And how does Raven and Rachel and Donna and Wonder Girl, how does everybody else fit in? Where does Robin fit in when all the Titans come back together? Like I said, share your thoughts down below. Hit me up on Twitter. Hit me up on Instagram. Hit that notification bell so you'll get notified when my other videos pop up, like Legends of Tomorrow, like Supergirl, like Stargirl, you know, and even Marvel's What If, because I said we do Marvel as well. So thanks for tuning in, guys. So until next episode, signing off for season 5, and take care for the Red Hood. And about this